Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast. I'm Elise.
And I'm Dom.
This week we have a very special guest. Today's guest is someone who truly needs no introduction in the beauty world. Taylor Frankel, co-founder of Nudestix, the brand that redefined minimal makeup and made no makeup a global movement. Taylor launched Nudestix at just 17 years old alongside her mom and sister, and what started as a family venture is now a global brand sold in over 30 countries and loved by celebrities, influencers, and beauty lovers everywhere. Welcome, Taylor.
What a nice introduction. Thank you.
Elise always does like such a good job of writing her little spiel, which I love hearing.
It's so good. And thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm so excited. I was saying earlier, I haven't done a podcast in so long. And I was listening to your podcast before this because obviously, I listen to it, but I also have to do my research beforehand. I have to, be a good student. And I just love how genuine and real both of you are and how it just feels like you're listening to two of your girlfriends. Yeah. So I was really excited because I was like, I need this. This is so nice.
It's like a therapy session.
Yeah. We start off every episode with Peak and Pit. So either highlighting something really well that happened in your past week, work, relationship, family, you purchase something new that you're loving, and something that's not going so well. So do you want to start off?
Yeah. Okay. I had to think about this for a second. Let's start with my pit. I would say it has to be this week, from this week.
I would say the past
couple weeks.
Past couple weeks. Something that's a stood out moment, good or bad.
I mean, this is definitely more businessy, but my pit has been just this tariff takeover. I mean, it's challenging for both businesses and consumers, but as a business, it's been definitely something challenging that we've been navigating. And then my peak, I would say I'm planning my wedding, which has been a really fun project and kind of a distraction from everything else going on. I never thought I would be. I was never someone who was always envisioning my wedding. It was never I want to be a bride and I can't wait for this big day, da-da-da. Probably wasn't until the past couple of months that I really started to get excited.
I feel I've never been that type of person either.
But
some girls have their mood board from when they're 15 years old and they have it planned, and I'm I have no idea what even diamond shapes there are.
Oh, I had no idea. When people were asking me, I was like, what is, a cushion cut?
And then there's lab made and real.
I know.
There's a whole argument between that on what route you should go and whatnot. So you're getting married June?
In early July.
Okay.
So July 4th is the official wedding date.
Okay.
We're actually doing a very small civil ceremony in Toronto.
Nice.
Is that for family that can't travel or just people the extended group?
Just for family that can't travel. And it's more so just because we have to legally get married here before we go to Europe. So I'm my grandparents and just my immediate family just to have a dinner, and it's very chill.
Yeah.
Nice.
And everything's finalized. Dress, flowers. I'm assuming all the big decisions.
The big decisions are all
done.
finalized.
Okay.
Yeah, which was fun, but kind of stressful.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing is obviously you feel good and you're happy and you're excited and you and the groom and your partner just have good energy going into it. But then there's another part of me that's this I mean, you get it, type A, you do events all the time. You're what are people gonna think? You're overthinking the color of the flower and the tablecloth. I'm this.
But no one is even gonna think about that in the moment of oh, she should have done a little bit of a lighter shade of pink, or she should have done this, and no one's gonna care. It's just you.
I feel there's just so much pressure on one day, and even when you have a big wedding and you're having first introductions on your wedding day, and you're it's a meet and greet sometimes.
I don't think I could do that. I want everyone that's coming to my wedding, I better know you on a deep, personal, and I'm not doing a meet and greet at my wedding.
Your dad's cousin's cousin,
no, God, no,
or
God, no.
Colleague, and I'm and that's what I liked about also doing a destination, because it forces you to keep it really small.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone that is coming, we know intimately and has known both of us too, together and individually. So I'm excited. So that's my peak.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good peak. What's your peak?
Okay, peak. I'm finally doing my home office. I started this project. Remember how long ago?
A long time ago. I remember you were I'm gonna get it done in 7 days.
I was I'm gonna get it done in 7 days. I purchased a ton of stuff. The room has been accumulating so much dust, And literally today I was like, enough's enough. I like ripped down my mirror, moved my couch, everything, but I need to now like compile it and put it together just because I work fully remote. So I have like obviously House of Movement, but then I work 9 to 5 for a tech startup. So I need my space. Like I need an office. And at first I was kind of just like working literally from my bed. And I was like, no, I'm like too grown to be like sitting like in my bed. Like this is not. So I convinced my parents to like take down the guest room and do a home office. And then Pitt, I would say, honestly, this weather. It's dreadful, and I think I can speak for like all of Toronto when I say that confidently, that it's just been awful, like awful.
It's
like,
awful.
Yeah,
I feel like that's my pit too. We have our brunch event on Sunday, and it was supposed to be like this rooftop brunch event because we launched a mouth tape today, and
Oh my
it was supposed to be
God.
like
Compliment's here.
pink.
Congratulations.
And girly.
Thank you.
Okay, wait. I just started using mouth tape.
Okay.
And I have a really funny story, but I'm like, I need you to do that.
Well, it was supposed to be like our launch event, and we got everybody like custom PJs and like Caudalie gave everybody their skincare and whatever it is. And now it's supposed to rain. So we
Yeah,
had to
it's
move it
kinda
inside.
dreadful.
And I'm like, this is just not giving what it's supposed to give, but we'll try our best.
Listen, my whole thing is whenever we host events, because there's always something that goes wrong,
Yeah.
right? You're never going to be able to flawlessly, maybe you
Execute.
have, but like flawlessly
No, but that
execute.
is the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. Like you'll always see like a flaw in what should have happened.
Exactly. However, everyone who's attending your event doesn't know anything and they're experiencing it for the first time. So
Yeah.
that's something that makes me feel a little bit better that like they don't know any different. And,
Yeah.
you know, as someone, you know, when you put on an event or you're a founder of a company, like you're so meticulous in the way you see things. So I guess just like know that. Like
Yeah.
everyone's
true.
going to come see everything for the first time and they're going to have an amazing experience because you guys are going to give them such a
Yeah.
great experience.
No, thank you for that.
But mouth tape. So I'm now recently started using mouth tape because I guess TMI or whatever, but I started wearing a retainer to go to bed and I feel like
It's okay. I realized at 24 that my teeth weren't straight enough. So I got Invisalign.
oh no, it's
So
amazing.
it's the same.
No, okay, I don't actually know if a lot of people know this, but it doesn't really matter. But I'm not ashamed of it. So 2 years ago, I got veneers. And part of the reason why I got veneers, this is like so unrelated to mouth tape comment, but because
You're like, but they do
But it
correlate somewhere down the
correlates.
line.
it's
Just
with
let
the
me get
retainer
there.
and then and a part of the reason why, first of all, like I had very small teeth. And so I had braces growing up, but I had a lot of gaps in my
Okay.
teeth.
Mhm.
And they couldn't fill the gaps because I mean, they could technically fill them with bonding, but it would kind of look odd because like some teeth
Also,
would look
bonding
bigger
you have to redo. Yeah.
all the time. And because I'm on camera all the time, my teeth would always bother me. It was like one of those things like I would smile on camera and I would just see it.
Yeah, no
Mhm.
matter what, or like how many people told you, like, Taylor, don't you worry. You're like, nah, I see it.
I was like,
Yeah.
I see it. And so anyways, I did it. And I actually like, listen, I'm very much in the camp of like, if something is really bothering you to the extent that like it's a normal thing to be bothered by,
Yeah.
it's not like obsessive of any sort. Like I do think that, you know, all the power to you to make that change, right?
Yeah,
If
I
you've
agree.
thought about it and like it's something that you really want to do. I will say that it's like actually made me a lot less like self-conscious about certain things, like the way I take content and me talking on camera and smiling and photos and all of that. And I know this also sounds maybe odd, but like, you know, the whole quote around like the more you smile, it actually like sends it triggers your brain to just be happier.
That's actually why I got Invisalign, because my teeth were my number one insecurity. And like to anybody's just normal eye, you would never notice what I'm talking about. But I just feel like it would prevent me from smiling with my teeth.
Yes.
It would just prevent me from smiling in general. So I'm like, okay, then let's just fix it.
Right? Exactly. I'm such a believer in that. And it's something that it's enhancing, right? And if it makes you feel more confident. So that's why I have a retainer. For my retainer.
Circling back to what I actually wanted
Circling
to
back,
say.
it's like my ADHD just like going from here to here. But why I have a retainer. So anyways, I felt because the retainer is so big, like I've started to become like a mouth breather when I sleep.
Okay, same.
Yeah. Yeah, see?
Like I
See?
like clench my jaw too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like my fiance actually made a comment to me. He's like, "You're so loud when you sleep." Like I'll like literally like breathe so heavily, and so that's when I'm like, okay, maybe I should try this mouth tape trend. Like I've
Yeah.
been seeing it everywhere.
Where did you get your mouth tape?
From this, do you know Mintier?
That's who
That's
we
who
just collabed
did it
with.
with.
Oh, that's who you
Yeah,
collabed with.
yeah.
Oh my god, so you did like a whole like
Yeah, we did,
like
like, a whole-
packaging,
yeah.
everything, and
oh
designed
my
it.
god,
Yeah.
I love them, and also like another Toronto-based
Yeah,
company.
yeah, the two of them, they're
Amazing.
sweethearts.
And it's like pink and girly.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Wait. Okay. I'm so excited to try. I use them like I've been using them. I would say for the past week. And my partner, my fiance, did say like he's been able to sleep better because I haven't been as loud.
Also, I find that my breath doesn't smell as bad.
Yes.
And
Because
I'm
it
like,
doesn't
"Oh,
get
thank God."
dry in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like I would jug water.
Yeah,
in the
me
middle of the
too.
You wake
night.
up at 3:30.
Yes.
I think I did that last night.
Yeah. But well, funny story. The first time I tried mouth tape, I had just come back from like a work trip and I was just like a little bit sick. I was super congested. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear mouth tape tonight. Literally in the middle of the night I wake up, I couldn't breathe.
From,
I
like just feeling
because I was so
suffocated?
congested. Like
Oh,
I wasn't I
okay.
couldn't breathe out of my nose and I wasn't breathing out of my mouth because
Yeah.
This actually happened to me recently, and
You're
I
like, "I'm
swear,
dying."
like I sat up in the middle of the night and I was like, ripped it off. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, okay, like crisis averted.
yeah.
We're good.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, that's actually funny because that's who we did our collab with, and that's
Yeah.
what our launch event on Sunday is for.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's so
thank you.
exciting. And I cannot wait to try it and to see it.
Thank you.
No, honestly, I didn't like. I thought mouth tape was just kind of like that big hoax of like beauty trends and like going to sleep with like 50 things on. But I genuinely do like notice a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not like a hoax.
Yeah.
And it's not just like like a trend or like something for like I'm like it genuinely does work.
Yeah.
And it's like just the way it sticks on and it fits and it has a little ability for you to like drink water and still breathe through it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And I have noticed like my mouth has become significantly less dry in the
Yeah.
morning and doesn't smell as bad, which
All pros.
listen, we all experience it. There's no shame.
No shame.
Yeah,
You
I
wake up,
know.
your breath is atrocious. You're like,
Actually, we talk about that a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just know that I have like chronic bad breath.
It's okay, we have a solution.
No. My peak is I work freelance, so I have like a bunch of different clients, and I actually let go of like
the whole roster.
the whole roster recently because I realized that my whole life is work, which is like pros and cons, and it's like gotten me to like a place where I can let go of the whole roster. But I also was like, what do I like to do? Like, who am I? So I'm rediscovering hobbies recently, and like I started coloring because I see it all over my TikTok. I started doing tennis lessons. Like, I'm like, I need new hobbies.
I love that so much. I feel like I think there's like a few things like as women, as we get into like our mid to late 20s, where we're kind of going through this rediscovery phase. Because when we're younger, we're kind of forced into hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually we kind of give up on them when we realize we're not going to be the professional dancer or the professional
your
tennis
mom
player.
thought and like
We're-
tried to mold you into being. You're like, Mom, I'm not a ballerina.
Yeah, you're like, I need, and you realize you're like, okay, well, I'm committing so much time to this. Like, do I really need to do this like every single night? But and then as we get older, to your point, it's like you start work and you get busy and you kind of like don't have that. You're not forced to discover that part of yourself, that creative kind of like childlike part of yourself. So I think it's really amazing to go through that process and really almost rediscover like what you don't like, and kind of trigger whether it's like the fitness side of you or like the creative side of you is awesome.
I think it's hard when also like your work is your hobby and you love what you do. And like, don't get me wrong, I love, working for other people too, but House of Movement is like so fulfilling to me, just like through the podcast and through like just, it's like such a creative outlet that I'm like, I don't feel like I like to do anything else. So it's my new thing.
I feel like that's when when you want to pursue like your business full time, when you're like, well, this is what drives me. I'm so passionate about it. I want to put my all in it, and I don't want to do anything else. And obviously, you feel like you can also monetize it, or you're willing to kind of like,
Just give and take.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
Well,
And what has been the biggest like learning experience throughout like this hobby discovery for you?
I think my main thing is finding satisfaction without success. So like being able to just sit and read a book or sit and go in a sauna or whatever it is And even though like maybe you haven't had a productive day or a productive week, like that's productive on its own in like its own type of way. So I think it's just finding happiness in like a present moment. And my mom said to me, she was like, I feel like you expect too much out of life. She's like, I feel like you expect this like exciting day to day, everything is sunshine and rainbows. And she's like, that's just not what life is.
Every day's a rom-com.
Yeah. So I'm
yeah.
rediscovering what that means.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is so important to find things in your life outside of work and find an identity outside of that. Although in your early 20s, obviously you're building your career and that will be such a huge part of your life. But I feel now entering, or I'm not there yet, I'm not going to age myself, but entering my 30s or soon entering my 30s, I've almost had to create an identity for myself outside of Nudestix because that's really what I've been known for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do that. So the fact that you're doing it now is huge.
Well, we're trying.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So getting into you, how did you get started in the beauty space?
Well, so I started the business when I was 17 years old alongside my mom and my sister. My mom, Jenny, she is a beauty entrepreneur and engineer. So she graduated in Toronto from U of T, one out of like 5 women who graduated from her U of T chemical engineering class.
Wow.
And she started her career working at MAC Cosmetics, developed a bunch of their iconic products, went on to develop a brand called Cover FX, and built that for about 10 or so years.
I think I saw your mom online recently.
Really?
I think I did too.
In a reel or something.
Probably.
She was
about Cover
literally
FX.
talking about this exact, like what you just said. She was like, I graduated from you. Like, does she have darker hair?
Yes.
Yeah, I literally saw your mom like, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago online.
Really?
I was just scrolling, yeah, and what you just said was like word for word verbatim.
Oh, I'm
but
sure, because
no, but the like it's such a powerful like story, and not that, but like I remember just seeing that recently.
Yeah, well, it could have been our Mother's Day video that we did
That's
together.
what it
That
was.
was it.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That exact same video.
Yeah, I have to force her into getting her to create content with me. But I've been surrounded by beauty essentially my entire life. And it's interesting because even like on PA days, I feel like that's such a Canadian term, or like a Toronto term. But on our days off, like she would always say, "Well, what are you stressed about? You don't need to take the day off." This is when I was like in elementary school. You'll come to work, you'll work in the warehouse, like you'll do other things. And so I feel like throughout my life, I've always been exposed to it, which has been a blessing because I've been able to see her be an entrepreneur and really see that side, of her life. And when my sister and I were entering kind of our adolescent years, as we all do, we like to experiment and we like to play with makeup. And we would go into our mom's makeup drawer and we would take out whatever she had in there to kind of try and play with. And, part of that discovery process, we said, well, why is there no brands that were kind of like easy and effortless and like not like tons of color or tons of coverage? Like we just want something that enhances.
So at the time, what were the brands that like really, I guess, were making an impact in the beauty space 10 years ago? Is that the time? Yeah.
So, well, obviously MAC. I think like you had Too Faced, you had Anastasia that had just launched, you had Makeup Forever.
I feel like Benefit was like such a thing.
Benefit. Yeah, Benefit was huge. NARS. Like those, they were artistry brands. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't really have the option of the time to wear, let's call it, no makeup or less
So you
is more
guys were
beauty.
looking for more of like I don't want to say like kid approach, but like more user friendly.
User friendly, but not necessarily because we were younger.
Inexperience.
But I think it was because we didn't want to do all of the steps that you would, watch.
Like you wanted no makeup without trademarking it as no makeup.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the time, like no makeup wasn't even a term,
Yeah.
but we would just say, we wanted kind of like this. We used to call it, the I woke up like this beauty,
Okay.
where we didn't want people to know we were wearing makeup, but we wanted to wear
I
something.
think that's the best compliment, especially like I was actually talking to my boyfriend's brother 2 days ago, and he's like, I love when you stare at a girl and like you can't tell that she has makeup on, but like she has a but he's like, I just think that looks so good on. And I was
It's
like,
so funny. There's like this trend now on TikTok of when a guy thinks you're not wearing makeup and like all the steps that it takes to
yeah,
look,
but like
took to look
you
like
just,
you're not wearing
but
makeup.
it's like you're like it's like you're sweaty, but you're not sweaty. It's just like it's like lived in makeup. Yeah.
And that was honestly like exactly what we wanted. And both my sister and I, like, as much as we were surrounded by it, we were always like, we we would always say to our mom, like, who has the time to spend an hour on their makeup routine every morning?
I always say that. We surprisingly do our makeup in 10 minutes flat. Like we
Ten,
are
like
ready to
genuinely
go
10 minutes.
fast. But sometimes I see people take 2 hours to do their makeup. I'm like, what are you doing for 2
Yeah.
hours?
I think some people really enjoy it, and I respect that. Like, some people will wake up at 6 a.m. to do their makeup for an hour, and
No.
that's their joy. Like, that's their self-care. For me, that just was never self-care for
Yeah.
me. Like, I would prefer to sleep in, work out, or like maybe take more time to shower. Like,
Yeah.
I love beauty, and I loved just like, this enhancement versus like masking myself, and spending lots of time doing it. So that was what really inspired the brand. And then there was all these, other elements that, weren't as trendy back then, whether it be clean beauty, sustainable packaging, just like sensitive skin friendly makeup. So we kind of took that all into consideration when we were developing our formulas and creating our packaging. And now it is.
So how did you decide that you wanted it in stick form?
So we were playing with a bunch of different packaging. I remember we were at our kitchen table, and
And this is all while you were 17?
yes,
Okay, so like you hadn't even finished high school.
no,
And your
Okay.
mom still had her brand going at the same time?
no.
Oh, no,
Okay.
So
she ended it.
she had exited her brand in 2012.
Okay.
So let's say this was between the
Like a
years of
transitional
2012 to
period, yeah.
2014. Yeah.
Okay.
And we would come home from school, and she would come and she would have like some of these samples of beauty products, and she had compacts and palettes and pen. I remember there was one pencil, and my sister and I both picked it up and we are like, wait, this is so fun. Like, it's a pencil. Like, it's not intimidating. We can kind of just like play around with it and like not have to worry about using brushes or tools. And she's like, really? Like, pencils have been around for so long. Like, how did you not know what a pencil was? And I think that was her aha moment, where she realized that although brands may have had this type of, packaging or formula, we weren't even seeing it because the brand was speaking to us in such a way that just did not resonate, with our generation and the way we saw beauty. So we love the pencil concept, and and then the pencil concept inspired like, oh, well, why can't we just use this one pencil like for eyes, cheeks, lips? Like, why can't we literally just draw and use our fingers and not have to worry about tools, because we hated using brushes. I remember I had this moment struck a chord with me. I was in high school, and a bunch of my girlfriends and I were getting ready to, I don't even know if it was like a house party or some type of weird event at the time. And one of my friends was like trying to do her eyeshadow, and she like threw the eyeshadow palette on her vanity, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not going out. I just like don't know how to do my makeup, and I feel so self-conscious." Like, she just, because she couldn't do her makeup, or she thought she couldn't do her makeup well, or she didn't know how to do it, she just immediately was like, I'm done. I'm not going out." And that for me was like, wow, like the fact, because you felt so overwhelmed with this, like you felt like you couldn't even like just go out with your
Like
friends.
tackle it or like try and make it work.
Exactly. And that was when I was like, wait a second, there is something here for a beauty brand that still is high quality, high performance, beautiful formulas, but yet still really simple and user friendly for everyone who's not a makeup artist or isn't like super into makeup, or, isn't watching 1 hour tutorials every day. So yeah, we just play around with packaging, and then we got really into the weeds of formula. My sister, she's now a doctor, but obviously back then she was not. But she had always struggled with eczema and acne prone skin. So she was always reading labels of every single product she would buy, because certain ingredients would trigger a flare up. Which was really like debilitating for her, because she would literally like all night she would be up just like scratching, like because she was like so itchy, and it would be really like irritating and hot. And so she was like, if we're going to do this, like these formulas need to be sensitive skin friendly. They need to be, good for acne prone skin as well, because she also struggled with inflammatory acne at the time. And then I had my own, like, whether it be perioral dermatitis, or everyone has like dry skin, and my mom having mature skin, and like really being concerned with like, using products that were going to overstrip her skin. She wanted to be glowy. She wanted to look youthful.
And not age.
And not age.
age the skin already. Yeah.
Exactly. So between all of us, we kind of created formulas that worked. And packaging wise, I remember we went to like a Sephora or like a Shoppers nearby, and I remember we bought all these products for like our our research. And
We'll take the whole shelf.
we'll take
for
all of this.
research.
Thank you. This is going to, this is the write-off.
This is a write-off.
Thank you. That just reminds me, like, like the Schitt's Creek episode.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so
a
the
write-off.
government pays you back? Yes.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, in a matter of 5 minutes, like, our trash went from empty to full. And we all said, okay, if we're going to do this, can we please create, like, a reusable packaging system where there's no one-time use packaging, and that's where
Like
the tin.
Yeah, like literally my mom has been using Nudestix, I'd say probably for the past like 8 years, and she has so many of the tins scattered all over the house for batteries, just like miscellaneous stuff. She keeps it in her car for like gum, everything.
Well, when I travel, like I always put like hair elastics in it.
Like genuinely, my mama uses it for every single thing. Like in her car, she probably has like 3 of them. In her drawers, like they're everywhere. Cause
That, honestly, that is the exact reason why we made them.
Yeah.
And you can recycle them. Like, they're made from tinplate. They're infinitely.
But like, why? There's always like little things that like girls need to
exactly
put away.
Yeah,
Whether it's
jewelry,
anything.
tampons, like literally
Yeah.
anything. So yeah, that was kind of what inspired the brand. And I mean, and you guys know, like, you kind of start something out of passion and like out of a need because you felt like there was a gap for yourself. And then it kind of just like has a mind of its own. And then you're like, oh, wait, other people like this too, or other girls like this too. And then it kind of just like authentically, builds. Obviously,
I feel like the first collab I remember from you guys was Sophia Richie, like years ago.
2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? Oh my gosh, it feels like so
It feels
long
like
ago.
forever ago.
But I remember I saw that and I was like, oh my God, like this is so cool. Like to have like a Canadian business, because I feel like even though a lot of brands are Canadian brands, it's not advertised enough. And I feel like it's so important to advertise that you are a Canadian business, because like Canadians love to support Canadian businesses, especially now with this whole like tariff war. Like my mom, you will never catch her buying those American blueberries.
Yes, girl. But buy those Canadian, I mean, it does make a huge impact. It's interesting because back in the day, 10 years ago, being a Canadian business wasn't cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think now, like more than ever, I do think that people are a lot more proud to be Canadian, especially with everything going on in the US. And now more than ever, people are very proud to say that they're Canadian businesses. But 10 years ago, if you were like a Canadian first business, it'd be very hard to even be successful in the US or in the UK, which is a very sad thing to say. But yeah, now like if you walk into a Shoppers Drug Mart, we have like a part of like our campaign says like proudly Canadian like founders. And so we're super proud to be Canadian and also like partner with Canadian brands. And yeah.
I'm like super being like a startup and being young founders working for a startup, and now like hearing obviously your process of like starting at a very young age. What were, I guess, like monumental moments starting so young and obviously like having mistakes and having to work through them? Like what really defined Nudestix in the early like years of starting the brand?
Like defined it for like
or I guess like maybe stood out to you the most. Like I love the process of things, and we're in like literally the first year and a half of doing House of Movement, and I'm also like I also work for a startup, so I feel like I'm just in the growth process, and I'd love to hear like what was, I guess, like a really big learning moment for you guys, or like that peak
like something
where
you look back on and you're like, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
Whether that's like something
good or
that was
bad.
so hard or just like such a positive.
I mean, I think it's really about perspective, but I think the positive about being so young and starting the business is that you are a little bit less risk averse.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit less to lose, right? And you have you're naive. Like you're starting this business without necessarily knowing like what it fully takes to build something. And I think that could be a very good thing because you're willing to try different things and just kind of go with what sticks. And I think that's what you need, especially today, being an entrepreneur and being a business owner or building something, is you need to have that agility. So that was definitely a positive being so young. I think we had this blind confidence as well. I mean, I'm sure you've met like an 18 and 19-year-olds. We're like, where do you have all this confidence? Like,
I feel like it just comes.
where do you where'd you come from? And a part of it is because you haven't even gone into the world yet for someone to really
Like,
tell
knock
you,
you
like,
down
okay,
or
relax.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so I think you have this confidence, and if you walk into a room full of executives and you have this blind confidence, you're just like, oh, like, I don't know who these people are. Like, I'm just going to be me and I'm going to tell them, my perspective and what I think. I almost feel like now, knowing what I know and knowing who I know, I don't have that. I actually don't have the same confidence that I did. To a certain extent, I'm a lot more confident in what I know. And I'm a lot more confident in what I don't know.
Mhm.
Back then, I wasn't as confident with what I didn't know.
This started out of a passion project, and like it obviously still is, but I feel like the more it's grown, the more anxiety it causes and the more stress it causes, and obviously like the more positives there are too, but it's scary to like continue to grow something and be like older and wiser and know more people and know what it takes, as opposed to if you're 18 years old and you're just like, yeah, I'm just building this makeup brand for fun, and like I'm just, living my life, and like I'm building it with my mom and my sister, like I'm good. Yeah. I think it out of that like blind confidence can come like something really amazing, aka Nudestix.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, anyways, I think, yeah, that's exactly it. And so I think that was definitely a positive of being so young. I think a struggle that I felt being so young was definitely the imposter syndrome of it all, of like, I don't deserve to be here. I don't know what I'm doing, you know, um, like going, whether it's because you're traveling or you're meeting again with these executives or retailers, you're like, well, like, why are they listening to me? Like, who am I? So I think that there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of just, let's call it faking it till you make it,
Mm-hmm.
until eventually you kind of become this vision that, you've always aspired to be, because you've almost forced yourself to kind of act a certain way in order to be taken seriously. Um,
How did you overcome the feeling of imposter syndrome? Because I feel like we talk about that all the time, whether it's like something as stupid as like, this person liked my photo. But I feel like something like imposter syndrome is it's like a niche thing, but a lot of people experience it. And I feel like nobody really talks about like the steps it takes to sort of build up your own personal confidence to overcome that and realize that like I actually did work really hard to be where I'm at.
I think time,
Yeah.
time and really working to the point where I felt I earned this. Like, I did this myself, I earned it. Although I had an incredible partner and a mentor, I wouldn't be here if I didn't put in the work myself. So that has given me a lot more confidence, and I have a little bit less imposter syndrome. And then I think what I also realized through just like meeting different founders that span different ages, different generations, so many people have no idea what they're really doing. And I think everyone's just trying different things
To figure it out.
and
Mhm.
yeah, to figure it out. Everyone's figuring it out, and they're self-learning or they're asking, for help. And I think that I think a lot of people, and I definitely had this when I was younger, where maybe because I was young, I felt ashamed of asking questions or asking for help when I didn't know something, because I didn't want people to think that I didn't know what I was doing, right?
Mhm.
Because I was so young. But I
Yeah.
think now I have a lot more confidence to say, well, actually, like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. What is this tariff situation? What does it mean to launch in a certain market? Or there's a new social media kind of integration. Like, how do we,
Just navigate it.
navigate it, and searching for people, you know, whether they're in your life or on social media, that can like help you grow as a person, and, both personally and professionally.
Yeah. We've talked about like doubts, obviously, that you've had with Nude Six. What was a moment that I guess, the trajectory of where Nude Six was going? Like, what was like a key, like, aha moment for you guys, or something that just really took you to the next level, helped scaled you guys, or like maybe, I guess another way to word it, like goals that you guys were meeting along the way that you were like, no, like we are on track to obviously where Nude Six is now.
Yeah.
Because I love like hearing people be like, okay, we had this goal, we met it, and then it was this one, and then it was this one, and now to getting to where the business is now.
That's so interesting, because Looking back, I would say like one of our biggest goals was to go global really fast. And a part of the reason was we knew that this idea of minimalist beauty was going to trend eventually, and that there would
Feel
be
like it's
many
coming.
brands that would do it. So we really wanted to be the first in different markets. So that was a really big goal of ours, and we did that, and it was really hard. And that was like 8 years of just like launching new markets and different retailers and just like really being on the ground and traveling a ton. Um, and obviously, there's different revenue goals that you have in place, like year over year. But I don't know. I think when you have when you're when you're a business owner and you're building your brand, there's always going to be something more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that it is so important to like really kind of sit and reflect. That's what I feel like I've had to do over the past few months, going into this year, to really be like, well, wait a second, we're here 10 years later. We're still in these amazing retailers. There's so many businesses that could not survive 10 years. And although there are challenges, like look at everything that we still have been able to do. So I think it's so important to just like
Celebrate the
I mean,
small
I
celebrate.
wins.
think
Yeah.
even being able to stay in Sephora for the time that you guys have been able to, not many brands are able to do that. Like I feel like Sephora's market is like constantly shifting, and the had the founders of Three Ships Beauty on a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about the rules that it requires for you to stay in Sephora, and it is like a month by
cutthroat.
month. It is cutthroat.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you guys were even able to just continue to be like a top Sephora brand, that's a big deal on its own.
It's huge. No, I'm sure they explained it all, but yeah, there's really intense sales. We call it productivity goals at Sephora. And it's week over week, month over month. Like,
And like 7 days, like that's a quick turnover. Like there's I feel like very little room for error to like keep the numbers where they should be.
yes. And productivity is essentially so Sephora almost looks at themselves like a real estate business. So you have to earn your space. So if you're a gondola or you're an end cap, like you have to meet certain productivity goals in order to preserve that. And productivity is measured based on it's an average sales goals based on the brands that are also within your space that have the exact same, like, let's call it um,
Like
like
qualifications.
not qualification, but the exact same space as you,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay. So obviously you grew this brand with your mom, and did you grow it with your sister as well? And then she decided to go into medicine?
Yeah, so she probably was with Nudestix for the first couple of years while she was still in high school. She was living like we were both living like this. We always called it like our double life because we
Mhm.
wouldn't tell our friends. We would
We're
like
like we're
leave.
founders, but I'm 17.
We didn't even know what it felt like. We didn't even know
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, like what, like now I feel like everyone talks about founders,
Yeah.
but back then, like what was it? We were just like, oh yeah, we have this brand, like,
Yeah.
and we would just like leave school to go launch Nudestix in like Australia. But we would be like, oh hey, we're leaving, bye. You're like, where are you going? We're just going to Australia. And my sister always knew she wanted to be a doctor
Mhm.
because she struggled with her skin.
Mhm.
She always wanted to go into dermatology. And that's exactly what she did.
I feel like that's fitting for the brand. It's like, even though she's not like maybe directly involved with like the makeup itself, skincare is the root of every makeup brand and the ingredients and everything. What would you say, because I'm assuming, wear makeup a lot, what is like your holy grail skincare products to make the perfect base?
Okay, well, I mean, shameless plug, but like I actually only use my products. So whenever someone asks, like, what do you act? I'm like, I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't make something that I wouldn't
Yeah.
use. And so our new skin range, it's so good. Like, it's funny because people always say, well, you have good skin, da da da. And I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand.
No,
Like,
it
how
the
much
prep.
the
It
prep is
changes your life.
it changes your
Yeah.
life. You'll see. I actually should do a video on this of like a side by side of like prepping my skin and doing my skincare versus not, and like how it affects your makeup. But I would say two. I'm a huge proponent of very gentle chemical exfoliation on a regular basis.
Like a BHA, is that too aggressive?
BHAs are great. AHAs, BHAs. I love mandelic acid. It's my favorite. It's my favorite acid. It's great. You haven't tried it because it's really gentle but really effective. I would say because my skin, I have very dry skin, so I can't use anything that's too harsh or too stripping because my skin will just literally like prune up. That's like
Mine will get like really reactive and red. Like I can't use any acne creams or anything like that. And I find when my skin gets too dry, I get like the little bumps on my skin, and that's when I'll get acne.
yes, that is like you're essentially harming your skin's barrier. Like your skin's barrier can't take all of those acids. Some people who have like really oily skin or thicker skin might be able to take more concentration. I just am not one of those people. So we've created different like exfoliating products in our line. One of them is called our 5% citrus fruit and glycolic glow toner. It's so good, and I use that regularly on a daily basis. And I like to call it you're almost like microdosing your acid. So rather than doing like this crazy chemical peel once every 3 months, which again, all the power to you if you still want to do, we partnered actually with a dermatologist to identify like what is the most effective thing that you can do daily that you can just integrate as a part of your routine. And this product was one of them of just like having that, we call it skin renewal, but a medical term for that would be cell turnover, because think about how much dead skin that builds up every single day, whether it's because oil buildup, makeup. If it's in the summer, you're getting tan. A tan is dead skin. So using products that essentially gently shed that dead skin every single day will also help alleviate um, just like whether it's acne, blemishes, blackheads, all of that, as well as hyperpigmentation, texture. So I use that regularly. And then last night I used our exfoliating mask. It's 10% mandelic and 10% niacinamide. I don't know if I'm like getting too much into ingredients.
I live for skincare. Like that's my shit.
Yeah, it's like I think so many people, especially when we're younger, were used so many like crazy harsh, like whether it was like the St. Ives
Oh my gosh, the St. Ives
exfoliation,
The
apricot scrub.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my gosh.
yeah.
Or like the icy, it was like kind of cooling, the St.
Yeah.
Ives one. Oh my gosh.
Yes, oxypads.
Yeah.
Terrible, like so bad, like pure alcohol in your skin.
Toothpaste on pimples,
Yeah.
thinking that like that wouldn't burn your skin.
Yeah.
You wake up the next day, you're like, oh, my skin's raw.
Yeah, I have like no, so I think like everyone has had those experiences where we're all like super conscious about like every single ingredient we put on our skin. So this mask I actually used yesterday and I wore it overnight, and like my skin in the morning, like I had like tiny little bumps just from travel, like oil buildup. We call it like almost like milia. You know, when you have like little oils trapped underneath the skin, they're tiny little bumps, like you can't pop them.
Yeah.
You need to use a chemical exfoliation for that. Like you can't really, you could use a physical, but chemical is like really what's gonna like help reduce reduce that. So I used that mask yesterday and it was like life changing for me. But anyways, that's like, but other than that, obviously cleansing is so important. Cleansing, exfoliating, toning, moisturizing. 4 steps.
I think it's so interesting that our generation, or like kind of age like 20 to 40, I feel like now is so into skincare and knows all about skincare and uses all the tools and like even the little Medicube device that everybody uses. Whereas like my mom's generation, or my grandma, the other day I said to my grandma, I was like, what's your favorite skincare brand? Because I'll get it for you. Yeah. And she's like, I just wash my face with water and like I just, put on whatever.
But she
I
also
find.
probably has great skin.
She has great skin.
Yeah.
And my mom, even like my mom gets skincare products from my sister because my sister does content and just like will give her all of the products. But my mom's like, I don't know what any of these do. And I'm like, I just think it's so funny that now like the 16-year-olds of, that are in high school have like full skincare,
retinols,
full makeup. I'm
I
like,
guess
oh my
I
gosh.
just started using
I know.
retinols and stuff. Something that sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you go.
Something that we asked a previous founder that we had on, building like your team and surrounding yourself and curating like a good group of people around you that get the vision, get the brand, get what you want to do. Over the past, obviously 10 years, you started working with your mom and your sisters, so people that you're super comfortable around. But what was it like over the past 10 years? And what are tips that you would suggest to just building like a really good group of people around you and like the right environment to make sure that you succeed. Like it's just the two of us and we have one more person. So like we are a team of 3.
But it's hard to build a team.
It's hard to navigate awkward conversations and tough conversations, and obviously having people around you that support you and work maybe not the same as you, but just you guys blend really well.
I mean, I think it's a challenge. I think it depends on what you're hiring for, like the role you're hiring for. I think as a startup, because obviously you do work so closely with one another, unless it's a very specific role again, where it's like they need to know
X, Y,
product
and Z,
development,
yeah.
or they need to know, they need to be, an accountant. But I think for a lot of other like creative roles, marketing roles, a lot can be learned, but personality and just like the way, like the cultural fit is something that is a lot harder to kind of to teach. So I definitely think that's been something we've always practiced in like the way we hire at Nudestix. I also think that there is very much like, and because you work for a startup as well, like working for a startup is very different than working for,
wear a lot of hats.
You wear a lot of hats. And I think when you hire someone, like they need to have the flexibility, right? Like when you hire someone, their role could be X today, but it could be Y a week from now. And I think someone who has the ability to be agile and also like willing to grow with the organization is super important to be very transparent about that right off the bat. Like when you're making when you have the interview, because you don't want 2, 3, 4 months from then to have an awkward
To them think
conversation.
that they're in this one cookie cutter role, but it's like, no, you have to transition.
Exactly. And I think that's just the nature of an entrepreneurial business. Like you are evolving all the time. Your business changes. Like you also need to adapt based on what your business needs are, right? Like even let's call it a CEO, where I was listening to this podcast recently about, the CEO's role. The CEO's role is to be in the business based on what the business needs are today. So if the business needs today are, oh my God, I'm just making this up. We need to, create an innovation pipeline. So that CEO needs to be in the weeds of that. They might still be in other things throughout the day because like they might have like a million
Hovering
meetings,
and
but like
whatnot.
their priorities are where the business needs are in that moment. So I think that's kind of the role that like everyone plays, I think, in the beginning of a startup. And I think that's what excites a lot of people about startups is like, oh, well, I can learn so many different areas of the business. Like I don't have to just do one thing every single day. Like that's awesome. Whereas other people might really enjoy the structure and like want to do the same thing every day and want that kind of routine.
How big of a team are you guys now?
We're in our head office. We're probably about like 45.
Okay.
I feel like you guys have always been a pretty small team. Like I know 2 people that were with you like for decently a long time. And I remember they always said it's such a small team for the size of the business, which I think is actually a little bit of a flex because I think it's like, obviously it must have its pros and cons, but pros in a way of like, it feels like a tight knit, almost like community where everybody knows everybody. And I think there's something to be said for walking into your office and it's not like 500 people or you're not getting an email from,
Bob,
somebody
who
you don't
you've never
know.
heard. You're like, who is this new guy from product? Yeah.
No, everyone knows each other. And, listen, we're very intentional about who we bring into the organization. I also think, there could be a lot of businesses end up in situations where they scale almost too fast and then their business doesn't catch up to it. Like they almost grow their team too quickly. So you almost need like to grow your team like as the business
Like just
grows.
be mirroring each other.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously you have your own business so you know what it is, but like, if you have money, you can hire more people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's kind of it goes hand in hand. So, and again, we've made it very clear to people of like, yeah, like, this isn't the pros of this organization is like you will learn so much and like we're very transparent. Like we'll be in a meeting or Jenny or I will be in a meeting and like you will learn about product, you'll learn about, production, you'll learn about PR, you'll learn about everything, manufacturing, exactly.
Transportation.
But I think if it's unrealistic in certain periods of the year, especially like during very busy periods where like you're going to work a traditional 9 to 5.
Well, I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for joining us today. It absolutely means the world. We love having you like founders on, and we love hearing like different insights and like just seeing you or just seeing and hearing you grow Nudestix from 17. Like I know when I was 17, like I was not in the business mindset. So I think that like applauds to you and your mom and your sister. Where can people find you online? Your Instagram?
Instagram, Taylor. Well, I guess you can follow my personal account if you'd like. Taylor_Frankel, and then just at Nudestix on
Of
Instagram, and
course.
TikTok is the exact same.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
Thanks for having me. And I'm honestly like, I'm so glad that you asked me to come. I loved this really just real, organic conversation. And I'm so excited for you guys and can't wait to see what you do next.